Howdy. We are back for another podcast. And welcome. Welcome to the Colonel and the Kid podcast. I'm your host, Greg Heitmann. And we're a little bit on a roll here. We got another podcast today. Probably, what is it, the third in 4 days? Is that what it was? Something like that. But anyway, what I'd like to say is, well. I was thinking about introducing that as my new catchphrase and welcome. Welcome to the podcast. It's it's almost I probably shouldn't say this, but it's like it just crossed my mind to say it's like, well. Welcome to the podcast. It's almost like I have a stutter, which is very politically incorrect to seem like to talk about or make fun of. And it's amazing. I think today they've almost solved stuttering in children so that whatever speech therapy they can get, um, it's not a thing anymore. And it's funny to me. Am I I've already gone astray on the podcast so far, but there was a very funny little, um, comedian on the little comedy minute on the radio station on KIOT, Coyote 10 Coyote 102.5 that I listen to in the morning, and the comedian was talking about, the Looney Tunes comics and how how it's so politically incorrect, and most of the characters had speech impediments, including Porky Pig with a stutter. So, that's all, folks. That's not the end of the podcast. That's just what Porky Pig would say to end one of his cartoons. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to the podcast. This is the Colonel and Kid podcast. And particularly, we're looking at chapter 42 today. And that is the Christmastimes part 2. I paused there because I'm looking at my little printout and it says chapter 46. But I have had some revisions and it's been revised. And this is now chapter 42. And it is the Christmastimes part 2. So that'll be coming up here shortly. And I'll read that into the record and have it forever preserved on the internet for all to see, for AI, artificial intelligence, to draw upon stories about humanity and history and Christmas times in the 1970s when I was a child. but anyway, the whole point of this is a memoir of my grandfather. And it's the Colonel and the Kid memoir, and this is the podcast about that memoir. So this is the Colonel and the Kid podcast. And of course, I'm the kid, Greg Heitmann, the host of the podcast. And the Colonel was my grandfather, Lieutenant Colonel Edwin P. Hagen Jr., my mom's dad, or maternal grandfather, as some people would say. And it still gives me a pause every time I say that because I'm worried I'm going to make a mistake and say paternal or my dad's mom or mix it up somehow. But it is my mom's dad, my maternal grandfather. And he was very influential on my life. And I assume all of his grandchildren's lives were very much impacted by the Colonel, as people would call him. I never called him the Colonel. I always called him Grandpa Hagen. I think if I was speaking to him, or trying to get his attention or asking something, it was like, Grandpa. I didn't say Grandpa Hagen, but in my family, it was Grandpa Heitmann and Grandpa Hagen. We didn't have any nicknames for different grandparents, which I've seen a lot nowadays, where there's different, the differentiations are more subtle. So the kids apparently weren't as smart as kids in my generation, where we could say, well, that's Grandpa Heitmann and that's Grandpa Hagen, and that's your differentiation. They're both grandpas, but they have different last names, as if their first names were Grandpa. Oh, that makes me laugh. So anyway, that's sort of the basis of this whole thing, this exercise that I've done and still continue to put into the record. I I'm just amazed at the progress that I'm at chapter 42. That means there's after today's finished, there'll be 18 more chapters left. And it's hard for me to believe that we've already gotten this far. I started last September doing this, doing the podcast portion of it. I started the actual memoir like 6 years ago, and we're finally to this point where it's going to be finished up eventually here, but more than two-thirds of the way through. Um, and it's just like that, you know, that one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. The 1,000-mile journey begins with the first step. So I look at it now and it's just hard for my mind to comprehend and wrap around the fact that I'm already this far into it. So it's good. I mean, I'm glad. It was just it's weird. I'm also glad that I'm doing this, and I'm happy to preserve my grandfather's memory. And also, it's for me, it's been, I think I've said this a lot, that this has been my psychotherapy for a lot of just positive introspection and reflection on my part, just in, an examination of my life to this point and see the good, the bad, whatever, the ups and downs, and try to document that and try to make the best of it as we go forward. Life is very short, so you got to try to do your best and enjoy it as much as possible. I think that's the key. The key thing, or the key takeaway that I would put out there for this is that you know life is for enjoying. I think that sums it up. If you can enjoy it and bring enjoyment to other people, then I think you're doing you're leading a successful life. And if you've done that, then you've led a successful life. So I think for me, that's sort of the conclusion I've got throughout this, and the introspection and reflection upon my life so far. And I would say success for the most part. I mean, not 100% success. I mean, that's impossible. I don't think that'd be that'd be perfection. I don't think anybody's perfect. So, but on the bounds, success. So I say that, and I move on to the idea that the memoir is the spine of the podcast. But I branched out into other things, and I have some peripheral topics and recurring segments that I talk about. And I think I have some hopefully for today. Don't know how many I'll get to. I'm gonna try to keep it close to an hour, I think, just because I think um my voice is just not it doesn't want to hold up for for a long time. I think I'm feeling it already just for talking out loud. I think I spend a lot of time by myself when I'm working on this, so I don't talk out loud a lot. So I have this inner monologue, I talk to myself, but quietly inside my head. So I don't get a lot of actual vocal cord usage. So I think my voice is kind of weak at this point because I took a little time off from doing the podcast there for a month, and now we're back, and I haven't built up the stamina to be able to talk very long. So bear with me if you can. Um, so we'll see. We'll shoot for an hour. If I feel okay, and I'm going to go a little longer, then we'll go a little longer. But if not, I just will hold off the topics until next time. And let's do this. Let's just get into the chapter 42, the Christmas times. So, all right, here we go. Chapter 42 of the Colonel and the Kid podcast. The Christmas times, part 2. And as always, we start with a quote. One of the most glorious messes in the world is the mess created in the living room on Christmas Day. Don't clean it up too quickly. And that's a quote from Andy Rooney. And I don't know, who knows? I think there's probably most of my audience has no idea who Andy Rooney is now. But he was kind of the humorist finale segment on 60 Minutes for a long time. And he would have some sort of comical take on life itself. And I'm guessing this was one of his his little monologues at the end of 60 Minutes, trying to end the show with a laugh, talking about the giant mess of torn wrapping paper and everything. And Andy Rooney, the old sage, he seemed always old to me whenever I saw him on 60 Minutes. And I think 60 Minutes was a Sunday staple for pretty much everyone my age growing up. And there's a Sunday night TV show that everyone always, you know, left it on after the NFL football game, or it was turned it on specifically to see the news and updates of all the investigative journalism that's going on. And it's funny that this this quote comes up in this timely manner when when there's a lot of news out there about 60 Minute show itself, and they fired one of their anchors, a longtime anchor, Scott Pelley, which I don't really know. I don't watch 60 Minutes anymore. It's mainstream news has become a joke as far as I can tell, and I don't really pay a lot of attention to it, but it used to have such an authoritative place in the world. 60 Minutes and all the all the mainstream media, it used to just rule the world, really tell you what you needed to know and what you should know. And now it's dead, sadly. But 60 Minutes is going through the grinder right now, and it's trying to recreate itself and get back to more of a objective, objective news. I guess an objective new investigative news show. Not not try to tell you what to think, but tell you what's going on so you can think about it yourself. I guess that's what I would say. Anyway, there's a long little editorial before we get started with the chapter, and I thought I couldn't resist because it's just such an amazing coincidence that I had this quote and this stuff is going on in the news at this very moment. It's very weird to me. Timely, very timely. So glad I can talk about it. But let's get to the chapter. Let's start the chapter. I had a wonderful time reliving the memories of Christmas times of yore through these old photos. I just had to share them while at the same time shine a light on the games and sports our family shared. I'm sure this is not unlike the majority of the families I grew up around in my Midwestern childhood. This is a little bit self indulgent, so please forgive me and bear with me. I think it's the smile on my face in most of these photos that highlights the innocence of those fond memories. And we have the first photo of the Christmastimes Part 2. And I'll read the caption, then describe. The caption reads, "Of course, I'm wearing my Minnesota Vikings pajamas. My younger brother Garrett and I set up our electric racetrack in Grandma Hagen's kitchen on Christmas Eve after opening gifts circa 1976. So here I am with Garrett on the floor of the kitchen. It looks like they have linoleum floor there, and we have this like figure eight racetrack, the electric racetrack that you can set up. It's got little pistol grip type controllers. And I'm looking at the camera and I'm reaching for a car on the linoleum in the black racetrack. And the car's upside down on the inside of a sharp curve. But I'm looking at the camera. I don't know if I'm able to reach out and pick up the car at the same time, not looking at the car, but looking at the camera while I'm getting my picture taken. And it's the classic um, house in town in Siston, South Dakota. The kitchen, and you can see the kitchen cabinets and those round little um, handles for the cupboards, and up above is the counter, and the kitchen sink is right above me, and you can see this long cord to plug in the racetrack there hanging by right next to me. And Garrett, my younger brother, little brother, I don't know, it's 76. He was probably 3 years old, I guess then, and he's barely in the corner of the frame of the photo, and he's got the little controller for the race car track, and I don't see where his race car is. But anyway, it's just this classic Christmas time photo where we both got our pajamas on. I'm wearing my yellow, gold, I guess I should say, because that's the Vikings color, gold. Minnesota Vikings pajamas, long pants and long sleeve shirt top pajamas. And I think in '76, I was 7 years old, I guess. And I don't I don't really remember much about that racetrack. I think we got different ones over the years, and I'm not sure if that was the one where you could actually change lanes with the controller or not, so you could pass other cars, but this was a very short track. It was probably only about 15 feet, figure eight. If you straighten it all out, it's in a figure eight here. But I don't know how much they cost at that time, that kind of gift, but I think for your money's worth, for the amount of time we got to play with that stuff, I think it was cost per hour, a very good deal for entertaining the kids and an investment in the by the parents to say, okay, we can keep the kids quiet and entertained and out of our hair for, you know, many hours for this price. I bet I bet then, I don't know. I'm gonna throw out some numbers here and people can check it and check me, make fun of me, mock me if they want. But I'm gonna say it was probably a racetrack like that. I'm guessing it's probably $15 at that time, which I'm not sure what that would be now today. Should we say three times? Let's say $45 toy then in modern day times, because that'd be 50 years ago now, 1976. Oh my God. I didn't think about that. Bicentennial year. Here we are, 2026 now. And I don't know if inflation is three times as, if that would be right. I'll throw that out there. Maybe I'll check it and add it to the corrections next time, if nothing else. All right, we have another photo right away of Christmas times, and I'll read the caption. It's a very long caption. I'll read that and then I'll try to describe it. So, caption reads: Here's Garrett trying out Super Toe, a football kicking game. Like the electric racetrack, the three of us boys, Grady, Greg, and Garrett, would get gifts together for Christmas. You could see the spinner where you would spin it and be told the distance and what hash mark you had to set up, left, right, or middle. The game included plastic tape with yardage marked off as well. As the plastic goalpost, the plastic football was placed in front of the foot of the kicker, and you would bang down on the head of the plastic player to swing the leg of the kicker and launch the football. I think the kicker and at least one football still sat on a shelf in my mom's basement before she moved. Sadly, I don't know where it is now. It might be in Grady's basement where his grandkids can play with it. There was also a similar version of the game for basketball called Super Jock, and we had that game also. Photo circa Christmas 1976. So this is a photo, and Garrett would have been about 3 years old, and he's got the little toy. It's about I don't know if it's even a foot tall, maybe like 9 inches tall, little plastic football player. And like I said, you hit his head and pound down on his head, and it makes the harder you hit the pound down on his head, the harder his leg kicks, and it will kick the ball. And it's pretty funny because the ball had flat ends, so it could sit right in front of his foot and stand upright. And great idea for a game. They should bring that back. NFL should endorse that and bring it back just to get kids involved. I think they would love it. But I don't know. I don't know how that game could even last because I think as kids we were very violent and we'd be smashing down that guy's head. It's pretty good, tough plastic. I guess maybe the resistance was for kids. You would end up hurting your hand if you did it too hard. So you had to measure how much pain you could withstand with how far you could actually have the little player kick the football. So, but Garrett's holding the football and he's looking like he's holding the football player tilted up like he's kicked it. I don't think he knew what he was doing, but he's got little footy pajamas on, little blue footy pajamas. And I think behind him, I'm not 100% sure. No, I don't think it is. I thought that might be the hide-a-bed couch at my grandma Hagen's, but I think that's actually that might have been our house in Rolla, North Dakota. And I don't think that's the hide-a-bed. I think that's just a regular plain old couch with a flower pattern similar to the hide-a-bed that I have mentioned earlier in the in the memoir. And if you haven't listened to that chapter, you should go back and see that one. I think that way, I'm not gonna don't quote me on this, but I think that was the Den chapter called, a chapter called The Den, Den, if you want to look that up and listen to that one. But maybe I'll have to check with my mom to double check and see if that's the couch from Rolla. I say that because we had shag carpet that was bright orange, and I think that's what that is. That Garrett's sitting on the floor with on the shag carpet. So anyway, yeah. Here's another photo. I'll read the caption and then describe. Caption reads, "Here I am, all smiles, opening gifts, Christmas circa 1976 in Rolla, North Dakota." Just a couple of notes on this photo. Note 1, in the upper left portion of the photo, you can see a set of encyclopedias, something half the population now knows nothing about today. Directly behind me is the hi-fi stereo cabinet that held the turntable. 3, making a surprise appearance, flashing into the bottom left corner, is my mom. I guess an early photobomb. And yes, this is Rolla, North Dakota, and I think as I previously mentioned, the shag carpet in the living room, that bright orange carpet, and here I am on my hands and knees, opening a gift, and I'm looking up at the camera, smiling, very happy to be opening Christmas presents. And I still can recall that being a kid, probably between like 5 and 12 years old, it's probably the best time to be a kid and and enjoy Christmas. I mean, now as an adult, Christmas is just not as fun because there's just so much. I don't know. You don't get the good gifts like you did when you were a kid, just to be so entertained by toys, I guess. Maybe that's what I need more of. More toys. So anyway, there I am kneeling down, and of course I'm wearing the same Vikings pajamas that I was wearing in the very first picture, the yellow ones it's got like a Vikings player. It looks like a running back, and he's holding his arm out like the Heisman Trophy pose. That little screen printed on the top chest of my pajama top, and kind of a pale. It's not a gold color. It's like a pale yellow color for the top, long sleeve top, and long sleeve sweatpant type pajama bottom. And there's a few gifts laying around on the floor. It's kind of funny. And I cannot overlook the fact that my mom photobombing this photo, she must be leaning forward just exactly when my dad's taking the picture with the flash, because the flash really caught her and her afro, her permanent that she has back in the time of the previous old chapters. And I'll reference this again. There was a chapter that's in here in the podcast called The Minnesota Twins and Reggie Jackson. And my mom has the Reggie Jackson afro at this point. And her hair was turning gray. She turned gray really early, probably because of us kids, I'm guessing. And it was before she started dyeing her hair. I mean, she dyed her hair for many years, but this was before she started dyeing her hair. But she had the big curly afro, probably like a 2.5-inch, 3-inch afro that she had. 1976, classic. Love it. I love that there's a record of this, and I like that hairstyle myself personally, but I think it came and went very quickly. So we this whole chapter's, I think, pretty much photos. And so we have another photo of me, and I'll read the caption, and then I'll describe. The caption reads, "Similar to the above photo, Garrett photobombs me playing one of the first electronic handheld games that I can remember, a football game made by Mattel. I'm all smiles, relaxing in my Vikings pajamas after a good haul of toys for Christmas. circa 1977. So I'm calling this 1977. I don't know if that's true, but, I'm sitting in a lazy boy. I know it's in our house. I'm not sure where it is. I think it's probably that'd be Billings, Montana, but I see a bar stool behind there. I don't remember having bar stools in a bar in Billings. That's just evading my memory at this time. But that's the classic, light stand that was between the lazy boys that we always had in the living room, and that's the classic lamp that my mom and dad had with that little frilly lampshade on there. I remember that as plain as day. And I'm just like kicked back, all cool, relaxing in the chair. And I think that's an Afghan hanging over the back of the chair that my grandma Hagen had crocheted. And you can clearly see that my Vikings pajama shirt there. And I guess maybe I thought it was the Heisman Trophy like pose, but maybe that looks it looks more like Fran Tarkington dropping back for a pass on there. He's got the purple home jersey with white pants. And there in my hands, I'm holding the little electronic football game. And of course, we have Garrett photobombing the photo. And I don't know if my dad was lined up to take a picture of me with the flash. And again, Garrett pops his head up and it cuts the top of his head off right at his eye level. So he looks kind of like an alien, kind of like a bowl cut haircut. And his hair looks really blonde there, dirty blonde versus dark brown. Most kids had like darker brown hair. Anyway, it's a classic photo. I like I said, just love seeing these photos. There's nothing but great memories for me when I see these photos and think about the good old days. And they were good. They were great old days, not just good old days. And then on to the next photo we have here. We have I'll read the caption, then try to describe. It won't take much more description, but caption reads, "Here's a modern day close up of a game similar to the handheld electronic game I'm playing in the photo above. I don't remember who, but somebody gave me this classic football game for Christmas about 10 years ago. And what it is, it's like a retro style game, and it says classic football on it by Mattel. And it's just got, what's it got, like 8 buttons on it. There's 6 buttons for controlling the game, and there's like a sound on or off button. And then there's like 9 buttons, let's say, because it's got an on and off switch and then a Pro 1 or Pro 2. And that switch, the Pro 1 or Pro 2, just it made the little blips move faster. So like if you were on the offense, you played on offense all the time. So that the defense was electronic memory of the game itself, and those little defensive players would move faster if you played Pro 2. And there was like a little ticking clock. It would tick, tick, and then they would move along, tick. It's such a simplistic representation of football. It's mind boggling that they could actually pull that off, that was football. But it's got a classic design, and I think this is the key visual for just the plastic case that holds the electronics. It's very simplistic electronics inside, but it's got like a little stadium that you're looking down upon. And it's got like little bench seating all the way around, and you can see the painted on goalposts and the football field there. And it's got above where it says Mattel, the name brand on it, it's got little stylized football player there, little very simple football player formed into the plastic. And the stadium is formed into the plastic too, to show the stadium. And built into that part, it's got like the scoreboard, and it is great. This is, to me, the real forerunner of design of handheld computer games. And I'm flabbergasted at the leaps forward we've made. I haven't played any handheld games other than my iPad for a long time, but I would consider this like one of the forerunners in that area of electronics, if you want to call it that. But amazing, and hopefully you're watching the video on YouTube video, and you can see me, and I will post these pictures, and I'll overlay them into the actual video, and you can be able to see them and see what they look like, and then you can judge my description and see if it matches the photo that the way I describe it versus the way the actual photo looks like to you. Please feel free to comment in the in the comment area in YouTube if I've been just a complete if I have not done it justice. So, and here we go, one more photo. Not one more. Another photo, let's say. And I'll read the caption and describe because this one's got another long caption and a lot of stuff going on in the photo. So, caption reads, "Caught off guard in this photo. I'm not even fully smiling as I open gifts insistent circa 1976. I looked really weird in this photo. This has to be the most awkward age for kids, around 7 or 8 years old, where their front teeth are too large and out of proportion with their face. My hair seems orange. Not a good look. I'm sure it was just the lighting. I've never been a ginger. I'm a little confused on the date. It may have actually been 1975, but I'm going to stick with 1976 because at my right knee is the Falk's duck call still in the box as I open a pair of Minnesota Vikings mittens. I'm surrounded by other amazing toys, including a Tonka water truck and Nerf rockets. Behind me is my mom cleaning up behind the kids, as usual. So there's a lot of stuff in this photo, and I wish I could definitively put my finger on it. Whether maybe I'm gonna go back on and disagree with my own caption. I think it's 1975 because I think in 76 I had those pajamas that I was wearing before. I think we had to put our pajamas on before we could open the gifts that year, and that's when I was playing at the racetrack. I was wearing those pajamas and stuff, and here I am dressed in a blue shirt, blue long sleeve shirt with my awesome red vest on that was kind of a uniform thing. I think I wore that all the time at that age. And I have these like dark red pants, blue jeans that are not blue jeans, but they're more of a maroon color, I guess. And a cool belt though. It's like a double hole belt, black belt of the time. That's like a perfect 70s belt. And I'm looking up at the camera, just I guess maybe I was so focused on opening the gifts that and my I'm sure my dad took these photos, and my dad was like, "Hey, look up here." And so I'm looking up like, "Oh," like I'm just so engrossed in getting these gifts and checking off my mental list of gifts that I wanted and got. An amazing haul of Christmas stuff. And I do like that my mom is going around behind me. She's right behind me. Looks like she's scooping up scraps of wrapping paper and putting them away, much like the cautionary quote from the start of this chapter about don't clean up the mess too quickly because there's nothing like the mess of opening presents at Christmas time. So, anyway, that's a great photo, and I'm gonna see if I can. I'll do some research. I don't think I'll be able to find out anytime soon, but I want to put my finger on the date of this Christmas time because that's a great a great photo. All right, another photo. I'll read the caption and then describe. Caption reads, "In Britain, South Dakota, circa 1978, at Grandma and Grandpa Heitmann's Grady and I square off playing a game of Battleship while Garrett looks on. Games are an awesome Christmas gift. And I think at this point, where my head, the photos of the back of my head, and Grady and I are both laying, you know, on our stomachs on the floor, facing off with each other. The brand new, just open game of Battleship, that classic 1970s Battleship game is off to the side. And Garrett is basically mirroring or mimicking Grady. He's laying beside Grady on his stomach next to the the box for the Battleship game, and off to the side you can see the Battleship cover. It's like that classic "You sank my battleship," and the little kid is playing his sister in the little game, and the kid's got his hand on his head, like all upset. What's a quote there? "You sank my battleship." So Grady's so in 78, I would have been 9 and Grady would have been about 12, I think. And Grady's got his Dallas Cowboys jersey on. I mean, just complete travesty of wearing Dallas Cowboy jersey. Roger Staubach. And he's got some gray pants, and Garrett's got a red shirt. Looks like Garrett's got some white sweatbands on his wrists, indicative of the stylish fashion in sports that we always like to keep up with. And it looks like, I'm going to say those are some classic Kmart Tracks tennis shoes that Garrett's wearing with his blue jeans. So Garrett would have been 5 years old, I think, at that time. So, and then you can see the back of my head, and I had this really awesome shirt that I liked. It was a long sleeve blue shirt, dark navy blue shirt, but then it had stripes running down from the collar, down the shoulders, and all the way down to the sleeves to the wrist. And I think it had like a white and white stripe with a red going down the middle of the white stripe all the way on each sleeve. And I think that was one of my favorite shirts. And I think I'm wearing that there. And of course, I'm wearing a red vest at this time. I think I'd grown, and I think Grady had that red vest, and now I've grown into it. So I think I'm wearing the red vest, continuing my uniform style of dressing that I still like to wear today. I like to wear the same stuff all the time. So if I find something I like, I'd buy like multiple of those. And yeah, I think I was really much the forerunner to these guys like Steve Jobs. And you wear the same thing so you don't have to think about what you're going to put on in the morning. That's one decision you don't have to make because it's already been made. That's what you're going to wear. So moving on. Here's another photo, and I'll read the caption and describe. Caption reads, "Could I look happier that it's Christmas time while we play a game? Clockwise, me, Aunt Kathy, Grady, and Christy play Hungry Hungry Hippos. I think. Pretty sure that's Hungry Hungry Hippos. Like ages 4 to 9, and here we are. I'm 9, I think, and Kathy's probably in her 30s. Grady's 12, and Christy's probably 8 or 9. So, as evidence in the caption, Christmas 1978 insisted, and I'm talking about the caption on the actual photograph itself. It's in cursive, my mom's writing, Christmas 1978 insisted. Note my clothing, green sweatbands on my wrists, clearly an early fashion statement, an indication of my athletic prowess. So, yeah, I think we have everything here. We have me just waving at the camera, gloriously, I guess, enthralled by playing the game, not paying attention to the game, I guess not caring what was going on, if I'm winning or not. In fact, I think the hand I'm waving with is supposed to be controlling the hippo that's supposed to be gathering the marbles. But this is, it says Siston, but it's the same orange shag carpet, must have been in Siston. I think this is at the country house. So that might have been the first Christmas at the country house. Bunch of Christmas presents behind us, unopened yet. And of course, I have a red shirt on. I don't know what shirt that was. but it's red, and, but I have the red vest on and green sweatbands, just complete, obviously coordinated outfit. And dark blue jeans, white socks, and I'm pretty sure those are Tracks, again, the Kmart Tracks tennis shoes, because that's what we bought back then, because those were awesome. And Tracks is spelled Traxx, I believe. You can double check me on that, but those I remember getting that was something special. An occasion to go to Kmart and get new shoes was monumental in my my childhood growing up. I remember that as being so awesome. And I remember going to Kmart, and I don't know, I mean, Kmart closed 10 years ago now, whatever. There was a Kmart actually close to my neighborhood here in Santa Fe for a long time. And I think they did have it, but I remember as a kid, they'd have these blue light specials, these in-store sales, and they'd have a little cart, they move it around the store, and then be like a flashing emergency light that you would associate with a police car, but it was blue, and it'd spin around and be like this flashing blue light special, and then it'd be a sale on something, whatever it was. Oh, yeah. The good old days when stuff like that would happen. But anyway, so I'm there facing the camera. Everyone else is focused on the game. So Kathy's to my left, because I'm in the top, like, left corner, and then to my left it's Kathy, and she's got really long hair there. It looks nice. And there's Grady with his Dallas Cowboys jersey on, number 12, his gray pants. And I'm pretty sure that's Christy, but it might be Jackie. I don't know. She has really blonde hair because her dad was really blonde, even though Kathy's got dark hair. But Jackie and Christy both had really blonde hair when they were kids growing up. Anyway, it's classic. And you can just see it's just completely the back of either Christie's. I think I noted as Christy, but it could have been Jackie. Oh, this I if you're watching me on the YouTube video of this, you probably just see that I'm smiling, just laughing, and it's just so cool to me. It's just so nostalgic to see these photos. To enjoy it. And and again, we're getting down there. We get another photo. All this is hardly any text, just all photos. But this one, classic, classic photo. So I'll read the caption, then describe. Caption reads: Christmas, circa 1978. Here I am opening a gift, clad in my Minnesota Vikings PJs, and wearing an earlier open gift, a Vikings baseball cap. Dan Tungy, on Kathy's second husband, sits behind me. I'm not sure what has our attention off to the left. So there I am sitting on a chair, a little rocking chair, like a lazy boy rocker. And I have different Minnesota Vikings pajamas on here if you're not watching the video and not able to see these photos that I'm going to load up into the YouTube video. These are white pajamas, long sleeve top and long pant, sweat pant type bottoms, but they're white, and then they have a purple collar on the pajama top, but it's Minnesota Vikings helmet on there, Minnesota across the top, and then the Vikings with a special Vikings unique script on the bottom. And the cap I'm wearing, I wish I could find this. Maybe they're gonna bring it back as a classic sometime, but it's like a trucker style mesh cap on the back, but it's got purple bill on the top and purple on top of that too, but there's a white band in the middle of the crown of the front of the cap, and it's got the Minnesota Vikings logo. I think it says, I don't know if it says Vikings on each side. It's Minnesota on one side and then Vikings on the other, but it's got the Viking uh, blonde braid and beard and the Viking horn hat on top of that. And that was an awesome cap. Like I said, I wish I could find another. Maybe I can find one Maybe I'll do some digging on the internet and see if I can dig up one for myself. Bring back good old memories. But there's Dan Tungy behind me. I think he was pretty much bald at that time, but then he had longer hair on the sides, kind of like but that style is they don't have that style anymore. Long, the long ring of hair around the back of the head, even though you're bald on top. I don't know. And then there's a nice fern in a planter behind Dan there. Maybe that's not a fern. Maybe that's one of these palm leaf type plants with the big leaves. But this is definitely in the country house, but it's very confusing to me. I'm not sure I have the dates right on any of this stuff. I wonder what gift I'm opening there. I can kind of see the corner. Maybe that's another handheld electronic game. And then there's a bunch of gifts on the floor. Anyway, moving on to the next photo. I'll read the caption here and then describe. Caption reads, Christmas circa 1978, a little later in the evening, and I now have a Minnesota Vikings robe to go with my Vikings hat and Vikings PJs. Garrett and I look at the camera, and I believe that is Aunt Kathy helping with Garrett's toy. And Garrett's wearing these red pajamas, and he and I are looking at the camera. Garrett's smiling. I'm kind of like caught by surprise, kind of looking back. And I have the classic 70s hairstyle really showing through there underneath my cap. Kind of shaggy looking, but you can really good look at that Vikings cap that I have a desire to get another one of those at some point. And then there's Kathy on the floor. I don't know what that is. If it's if that's a light bright, a toy from the 70s. No, it looks like Garrett has a marker in his hand, and maybe I'm holding a marker too, and we're doing something. But it's on top of it looks like a light box or something, where it's shining through, and maybe you're doing something with a marker. And there's somebody on the right side of the photo bending down. It looks like to check out what we're doing. I don't know. Not exactly clear to me, but you can't really see that that's Kathy. I said it was Kathy. And from previous photos, I think that's what Kathy was wearing in the Hungry Hungry Hippos photo, but all you can see is the top of her head and the part of her hair. So not the best angle photo for Kathy at the time. So anyway, next photo. And I'll read the caption and then describe a little more. So the caption reads, Christmas with cousins circa 1978 from left to right. Cousin Jackie Blado, Grady, me, second cousin Lori Hortness, cousin Christy Blado, Garrett, second cousin Missy Hortness. So it's just a line of us, and we're standing in front of the Christmas tree, and Jackie is the tallest at that time, and then Grady, and then me, and then Lori, Christy, Garrett, and Missy. So Jackie's got a blouse with long sleeve blouse with stripes, kind of cream colored and white top and blue jeans. And she's kind of holding her hands, kind of like delicately looking at the camera, smiling. And then Grady with his Cowboys jersey, just a total distraction for the whole thing all the time. And I think he's got a Dallas Cowboys cap, baseball cap, similar to my Vikings cap, except Dallas, that same style from the NFL that year. And then there's me. I'm staring right at the camera, very, very obediently, smiling and looking at the camera. But I don't know what's going on here. I have my red shirt and my red vest that I'm wearing, dark blue jeans, and I don't know I'm not sure why I look like I'm getting ready to, my hands are kind of down to the side weirdly, but I don't see my sweatbands. So I don't know if I could actually place this correctly time frame wise. And then there's Lori Hortness in a white shirt and khaki pants, white blouse, long sleeved, and khaki pants. And then Christy's got like a turtleneck, long sleeve white shirt on with tan pants. And I should say Grady's wearing khaki pants too. Weird. Garrett's got a white t-shirt and blue jeans. Looks like he's fallen out of the 1950s with that style. James Dean. And then at the very end is Missy Harkness, who's got the weirdest smile. It's squinting and closed mouth, closed lipped smile, like she's casting a spell on the photographer, which is probably my dad. And she's got like a matching pants and vest, I guess, and maybe like a turtleneck blue shirt. And I think she's probably 5 years old, 4 years old, maybe 4 or 5 years old. Maybe you're younger than Garrett at that time. So, and then the next photo, I'll read the caption and then describe. Caption reads, Christmas with first cousins circa 1982. And what a difference 4 years make. From left to right. Grady, Jackie, me, Christy, Garrett, and the newest first cousin, Karen Tungy. So Grady is now way taller than Jackie. He's probably like 5 inches taller than her. And to be consistent, Grady's wearing a Dallas Cowboys blue t-shirt with number 11 on it, which was Danny White, quarterback at the time. I think he was a punter and backup quarterback, and then he became the quarterback after Roger Staubach retired. So it's just, again, this is a slap in the face to Vikings fans. And then there's Jackie, and I'm actually a couple inches taller than Jackie, but she's next in line because I guess we're going by age. And she's wearing a dark green nightgown. And then there's me. At this time, I guess I was probably 13 years old. And I have blue jeans and a long sleeve, olive drab shirt, it looks like, but it's got some brown and white stripes, brown and white across the center of the chest all the way around the shirt, and then a brown and white stripe down from the collar down the shoulder and to the wrist on each side. So I remember that shirt. I like that. That was similar to the blue shirt that I liked as a kid. I think I inherited this shirt that I'm wearing from Grady. He outgrew it, so then I got it. And then next is Christy. She's wearing a red nightgown. And then there's Garrett. He's wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers sweatshirt, long sleeve sweatshirt with the black sleeves, white front, and it's got a picture of the Pittsburgh Steelers helmet on it. And, to much my disgust of their fickle fanship towards the Vikings at the time. And he's got some gray jeans, it looks like, and he's got a watch. Looks like he's wearing the digital watch there. Pretty cool. And way tiny, tiny at the end is Karen Tungy, and that was Kathy's second husband. So that's stepsister to Jackie and Christy, and she's got a yellow shirt and red pants. 82. I don't know. She's probably like, she was born in 1980. It looks like she's about 2 years old there. Anyway, great photo. Great photo marking the passage of time and how kids grow up fast. And of course, we got one outdoor photo. This is pretty awesome. And I'll read the caption and then I'll describe a little bit. Circa 1978, this photo of who I believe to be Grady and Jackie shows a classic Christmas time activity of sledding o'er the snow-covered hills. This is at Valley View Country Club looking east between the 8th and 9th holes. Grandma and Grandpa Hagen's house was about a mile away, behind the sledders. I love the perfect sunny frozen winter day in the photo. A perfect blanket of snow covers everything, no bare patches of ground to be seen. Also note the heavy-duty plastic sleds that were perfect vehicles to propel children down the hills of the tundra. So in 78, that'd be, I don't know. I think that's Jackie and Grady, but it could be me. I don't know. Because I say that because Grady was much taller than Jackie, and pretty sure that sure about anything about this, who that might be. But it looks like it looks like that could be me in front, and but that person behind me is taller. It looks like they're taller than me. But Jackie wasn't taller than me. Maybe that was maybe it was Grady and me. I don't know. Anyway, it's your perfectly snow-covered golf course, and we're trying to find some little tiny hills, I guess, to sled down there. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but in front of us, if to the west of, we're looking to the east in this photo, but if you turn around and look directly behind us, there was like s- a small ski hill they had, and they had a little tow rope at one point. I remember climbing. The tow rope wasn't working ever, I guess, as far as I ever knew during my lifetime, but I think previously it had, so you could get a tow rope and be pulled up on your skis up to the top of the hill and sled down the hills, probably only about 250, 300 yards slope, but it's pretty steep. But I remember trying to sled down that, and there was always overgrown with some bigger weeds, and you just get whacked in the face by these giant weeds going down on your little pieces of plastic, little toboggans. So, man, it seemed like quite the adventure as a kid doing that. I remember. And in the old days, you used to get snow. I don't think they get this much snow anymore there, that part of the country, or anywhere else to be truthful, but good times. Well, we finally made the last photo here. It's it's funny. I didn't realize there was pretty much zero text except the little two short paragraphs to start this when I asked for your indulgence and going over these photos. If you could indulge me, but this is the last photo. It's got to be one of my favorites. So let me read the caption and then I'll describe. This is one of my favorite photos. I have saved it for last in this chapter. I don't remember seeing this photo before. Yes, this is about as obnoxious as a 10-year-old can be. I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts of all time, my Minnesota Vikings Fran Tarkenton jersey. In the background, Christy, Kathy, and Garrett pose for the photo. Siston Christmas, circa 1979. So I think my mom sent this photo to me a few years for my birthday or something. She sent it in a Christmas card. So the reason I say it's the most obnoxious a 10-year-old can be is that I'm sitting there opening a Christmas present. And I guess I'm guessing my dad, said, "Hey, look over here. I'm taking your picture." And so I have my Vikings jersey on. I got the old 70s, perfect 70s haircut going there, kind of shaggy and just combed straight down. And I love that jersey. It's a perfect purple, that silky material, screen printed with number 10 on there, Fran Tarkington. But I got my tongue sticking out of my mouth, all weird, kind of going up and to the right. Like I'm just being a total weirdo making faces at the camera as I get my picture taken. So I feel a little embarrassed to talk about that way, but it's like, yeah, I think that's the way I was as a kid. Pretty much a jerk. And, you know, as my mom would say, little shit. Pardon my French. Sorry, mom. But you're probably right. I don't think I was horribly behaved, but I was probably the biggest jerk out of all of us boys on there because I don't know. I just had too much energy and too much attitude, and I thought I was probably pretty cool. Why wouldn't I think I was cool? I was wearing a Fran Tarkenton jersey. I thought I was, and I could be the next quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know. I think I had, you know, what do they say? Got over my skis, outkicked my coverage a lot of times in my with my attitude and being a kid. but there's more to it than just me in this photo just being weird. I look to the side there of to my right, you can just catch the corner glimpse of a large family photo. I remember that photo. It was taken before this fake background, and and you could just see the edge of my dad there and there, but it was pretty big photo and family photo from, I don't know, maybe we were in Billings. No, in '79, we would have been in Brigham City or maybe Groton at that time. I don't know if we'd moved back completely. I don't know. I don't know exactly, but I remember that family photo. I'll have to see if I can dig up the actual photo of that, maybe share that later at some point. But then, so that's on the side, and that was given to somebody for Christmas. I don't know if it was from my mom to grandma and grandpa, so they could hang up in their house and have a picture of the their daughter's family. But there's a nice big Christmas tree. This picture is taken at Christmas time at the country house with Grandma and Grandpa Hagen just outside of Siston, South Dakota. And behind me is Christy's holding a Jack in the Box, and she's kind of giving the peace sign behind the Jack in the Box that's up out of its box. And there's Garrett. He's got a hand on the Jack in the Box, and he's kind of pointing at it, smiling and pointing at the Jack in the Box like he's very entertained by it. Maybe he's looking at her fingers, giving it rabbit ears or whatever, giving the peace sign behind the Jack in the Box. But Christy's really smiling. And then behind her is her mom, Kathy, my Aunt Kathy. And Kathy's looking right at the camera, but looks like she's surprised there's a picture being taken. And Kathy's got giant hair. She's got like the original, um, I guess, Aquanet, hairband, classic rock. Maybe classic rock was just starting to come around then in '79. But she looks like she's, I don't know, zoned out completely, staring at the camera. And Christy's got like the 3/4 length sleeve shirt with red sleeves and white shirt, and looks like she's wearing blue jeans. And Garrett's got like a sweatshirt, just a bluish gray sweatshirt and blue jeans on, and he's kneeling down. So I encourage you to go onto YouTube and see these videos once I get them uploaded on there, and you can check them out. And I saved the best for last. Me and my Vikings, my Fran Tarkington jersey. That's the best. I think I had my school picture that year. If I wish I knew where it was, what grade I was in, but I'm pretty sure that my mom let me get my school picture taken with that jersey on, which was awesome. I wish I had that jersey today because that'd be, I could have framed it and had it in the room like I was like a star athlete of that time. Like they retired my jersey from punt and pass and kick. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of the chapter. We'll wrap it up here with the quote, as we always do. Chapter 42, The Christmastimes, Part 2. The final quote for the chapter today, quote, "It is more blessed to give than to receive," end quote. And of course, that's Jesus Christ from Acts 20, verse 35. So there you go. Talk about, I have all these pictures of me getting gifts and opening them. Not once did I have a gift or a photo of me giving somebody a gift and have that documented. So that's classic. It's classic Greg. Classic Greg picture with his tongue sticking out, being obnoxious. What can I say? It's perfect. Print it. There you go. We got a full hour and 4 minutes so far into the podcast. So I'll keep her short because that chapter was very short in words, but heavy in photos and description. So gotta love it. So today I wanted to just give you the sports update. I don't have any corrections. So I'll move on to the sports update with the Minnesota Twins baseball, and I sort of promised I would give the record update each podcast I would do. And today Their record is it's now 29-35. They lost 8-0 in an early game getaway day so they can travel. They played the Chicago White Sox, and they had won the first 2 games of the series, and they were going for the sweep today, but they got pretty much a complete beatdown, 8-0 today, so not surprising. The only thing surprising to me is that they actually won 2 games in a row against Chicago White Sox, which are, way better than I think people thought, but, again, uh, baseball updates brought to you by Teener Baseball. Of course it is, and we're holding up the book. There's the poster still up. I guess I'll just keep that poster up, maybe until baseball gets over with. I don't know. Why not? Teener Baseball, a book by Gregory L. Heitmann, yours truly. There's me, my little biography on the background, my bio picture here includes me wearing my Minnesota Twins jersey and Twins cap at Oakland County Stadium way back in the old days. So good times, Teener Baseball. Get a copy now. Get your copy through Amazon. And or you can contact me if you want to email me. We can maybe make arrangement and I can send you a copy, like autograph it for you, personalize it to you, and then you can give it as a gift to somebody else. And it's better to give than to receive. That's what they say. They being the Bible. All right. Moving on to more sports. I had to get to this because it's time for a big NFL update. And I have been keeping you informed about my NFL ticket that I canceled. No NFL Sunday ticket for Greg this year because it's canceled. But guess what? I'm waiting for a deal and no word yet from YouTube TV because that's who manages it. I'm waiting to see if they give me a special offer to bring me back into the fold for a little bit of a discount. We'll see. If it gets down, maybe 400 even. It's almost $500, I think. If they go down to 400, I think I'd jump at it. I'd really like 350. Maybe I should contact them. Say, hey, give me 350. I'll sign up now. You can put me on your list of subscribers and advertise that, hey, yes, Greg Heitmann subscribes. But we'll see. You got to remember that you can get, I think they offer the NFL ticket the first week free for everyone. So, trying to entice you to get a feel for it. It's awesome. It is. It is great. I just, I should be signed up. I'm not, but the Red Zone channel is nothing like it, but I'm very disappointed now because they're advertising on the Red Zone channel. There used to be never a commercial. That was a travesty if a commercial actually started to sneak in someplace. But now they'll shrink the screen down on one side and block out the audio, and they'll show a commercial with the audio, but you'll be able to see the action. And it's gross and disgusting that you pay all this money for that, and yet they're still shoving commercials down your throat, which you've paid not to see, really. Yet you still have to see them. I don't know. The name of the game is money, and YouTube TV, which is part of Google, knows how to make it. So to continue with the NFL update, 2 days ago, I got an alert that we are 100 days from NFL kickoff. So that means I think we're 98 days away now today, which in just probably 98 days, 3 hours from now, we will be full swing NFL regular season. Preseason starts in probably what, 75 days or so? Crazy. Time goes by. But in true spirit of the NFL, I had a third bullet here I wanted to talk about in sports headlines under the NFL is the NFL knows how to do stuff. I mean, they just eat up the sports calendar and sports stories because on June 1st that was some sort of deadline for their contracting, and so that was the date that some of these trades could happen. Even though everyone knew it was going to happen, there was a trade that A.J. Brown, wide receiver from the Eagles, was traded to the New England Patriots. And I don't really care. I mean, AJ Brown won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, has been a decent receiver, above, I mean, way above average, but still he can drop. He has the case, gets the case of the dropsies, and he'll drop perfect passes for touchdowns consistently. He's got to be one of the biggest, can you say a clutch dropper? If there's an important clutch play that needs to be made, he's the guy that will drop it and lose the game for you. So I don't know. I don't really care about that trade. The trade that really caught my eye and ear is that it wasn't out of the blue. I think it had been mentioned a little bit, but sort of out of the blue because I mean Cleveland. This involves Cleveland Browns, one of the worst franchises in the NFL. But Cleveland Browns have a defensive lineman named Miles Garrett, who was the defensive player of the year, and he's been just a stud defensive player for his whole career. I don't know how long he's been there, 5, 6 years. And he was traded to the LA Rams. And it's like, man, LA Rams got all this superstars. They're just super power. And it's like, uh, don't they have to follow the salary cap? Is anybody else wondering how they can fit under the salary cap with all the money they're paying their players, including Matthew Stafford, who just got a big salary increase? I think over 50 million a year now. I know the salary cap is over 300 million, but I it's just bewildering to me. LA Rams clearly the favorite for the Super Bowl this next season. I don't know. It's going to be again a long season for the Vikings, I'm afraid. But we're on our way to maybe getting a new team for Greg, and we'll see how it goes. This may be the last hurrah. I'm going to be a free agent. I am a free agent when it comes to my sports teams now. So see how it goes. No promises, no regrets, no guesses, none of that. A man without a team, I guess this point. I am familiar with the Minnesota Vikings mostly, but I don't know if I really claim them anymore. Even though all the you just saw all the photos of me with my Minnesota Vikings gear as a child. You know, when you're a child, you do childish things. When you're an adult, a lot of times you still do childish things. You're still a fan of the Vikings. Maybe not for much longer. We'll see. Anyway, on to the hockey report. NHL hockey finals are going on, and I watched the first game last night, and I had told somebody that I thought Carolina Hurricanes would win, and they got off, I think it was like 25 seconds in the game, they scored a goal. It's like, oh my God, this is going to be a walkover. And then they scored another goal, and they were up 2-0 against Las Vegas Golden Knights. And lo and behold, guess what? The Knights came back and won 5-4 in a really good game. A lot of scoring, 9 goals in that game. Not surprised. I don't know anything about hockey that I thought Carolina would win, even though I had heard some hockey expert, quote unquote expert, on a podcast. It's Tony Kornheiser's show podcast I listened to. He had some hockey guy talking about it, that the Western Conference is way better than the Eastern Conference. And did I pay any attention to the experts? No, I just said Carolina is going to win. But we'll see. Next game is Thursday night, and tonight, as we move on to the NBA update, NBA finals start tonight. Big game in San Antonio. The New York Knicks at San Antonio Spurs. And the predictions are, who am I going to predict to win? Well, my eye test tells me that the Spurs are not going to win. I think even though they have Victor Wembanyama, the 7'4" guard, he's like a guard out there. He was able to dribble the ball and handle the ball and shoot 3-pointers, and it's just amazing. But I think the Knicks are just on such a roll, and I think there's a really not to say everything's rigged, but I would not be I would not be against saying that the NBA wants the Knicks to win, and I think that could happen. They have demolished the teams they've been playing to get to the finals. They rested. They've been off for what, I don't know, 10 or 11 days, who knows, whatever it is. They had to travel to San Antonio. They had to play on the road tonight, which is good for them because there's a lot less pressure not playing in New York City and Madison Square Garden. They can go down to San Antonio, small town San Antonio, so to speak, relatively speaking. Was it 2 million people in that metro area probably? So I'm picking the Knicks. I'm picking the Knicks just to, you know, I'm not saying they'll sweep the Spurs in this final, but I think they're going to win tonight, and I think they're going to win the series. I just have that feeling. I could be way off. Um, I really didn't think the Spurs would be able to pull it out. I thought we were going to see a little miniature dynasty coming from OKC, but I don't think that it's going to pan out. I think the OKC dynasty is dead. I think the San Antonio Spurs are going to be the future. If they don't win the championship this year, I think they got all the pieces for domination next 5 years. I could see them winning 3 out of the next 5, including this year. They could easily win it this year. So there's your NBA Finals predictions and analysis. I don't know. I think uh, from the analysis part, Jalen Brunson is probably one of the most dominating players in the league, and I don't know if he's 6'1" or 6'2", something like that. But what I have observed is that he is so lightning quick that it's people can't guard him. He's like chunkier too. He's got this really chubby face, and if you look at him with your eye test as just a person sitting there, not moving, not playing basketball, you would say this guy can't play basketball. But he is amazing. I mean, I'd love to be able to witness in person live. You know, I like to try to guard him with my 57-year-old skills and just see how fast he is, just to see him get around me, because I don't think you can appreciate that on TV or anything else other than seeing it live and seeing it in person close up. But I mean, it's impressive. But the caveat that I'm going to put on this is that what I saw the San Antonio Spurs do to Shea Gillis Alexander, SGA, is that San Antonio defenders really bodied him and physically pushed him around, and the referees wouldn't call fouls. They would. To me, the game of basketball is a finesse game. So you start pushing people and hip checking them and putting your chest into, chest bumping them with your chest to knock them off the game. That's a foul. I mean, the game is finesse. Football is a game of physicality. If that's where you want to, have physicality, that's where it should be. So I would say that, and I don't want to put it all on the officials, but if the officials let San Antonio really physically push Jalen Brunson around, I think it could get out of hand quickly, and the Spurs might totally dominate them. I don't think they're going to let that happen, because I think the NBA wants to put their finger on the scale and push it towards the Knicks, because that's where the headquarters of NBA basketball is. That's the headquarters of the NFL and the major sports that are headquarters there. So they want their hometown team to do good. That huge population, the huge populace that's out there on the East Coast and New York area. Why not? Why not make them happy? So I feel bad saying that, but I think, uh, as the saying goes, money talks. That's what this is about. I don't think it's sort of like the Yankees and Cowboys. You got the Knicks. People love them or they hate them. There's no mixed feelings about them. It's like the Cowboys. People love them or they hate them. Baseball, it's Yankees. The hated Yankees or the loved Yankees. People just love them or hate them. There's no in between. But you know what? That draws eyes. people have an opinion and they want their opinion to be shown and brought out into the public. So I don't know. Knicks and Spurs. Fortunately, I have to pick the Knicks, and it's going to be unbearable. I'd seen that, seen all these celebrities come out of the woodwork. Some of the so-called New Yorkers that are fans of the Knicks. Suddenly, what was it? I like Jimmy Fallon being at the game. Most recently, they showed him on the sidelines. The front row there. Jimmy Fallon's from Boston. Why would he be a Knicks fan? Because I know his TV shows in New York City right now, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. But you just move there and give up your team? Wait a minute. Is that what I'm doing? Is that what I'm doing here? When I moved to New Mexico, I gave up my Vikings? I guess. I don't know. Spike Lee. Boo. Timothy Chalamet. Shamalama Ding Dong. He's like, isn't he from France? What does he know about best? I guess maybe he likes Victor Wembanyama. Wait a minute. Is he going to cheer for the Spurs? We have a breaking story here that we could talk about. All right, that's enough sports talk. I do want to talk about the big news. I say big news, exclamation point. Yesterday we had primaries in three states. Three states in the country had primaries for governor of the state. And strangely enough, it's all states that I have interest in. New Mexico, South Dakota, and California. And you say, well, California, what do you mean? We know you're from South Dakota originally and you live in New Mexico now. Why California? It's like California. I'm an author, a screenwriter, and Hollywood is in California. So I mean, to me, it makes a difference. Maybe I could be out there and get the next blockbuster movie made from one of my screenplays. I don't know, who knows? And I want there to be a good governor there. So anyway, in South Dakota, the biggest news there was that a guy from my hometown, Groton, South Dakota, Toby Doden, he was the top vote getter in the Republican Party, and I guess he's got to have a runoff with the current sitting governor, who took over for Kristi Noem when she was nominated and named the Secretary of Homeland Security before she had a precipitous fallout with Life and her husband and Trump, and is now in some no-name job in Washington, D.C. But Larry, I think his name's Larry Roden. He's the sitting governor now. He was the lieutenant governor. He took over for Kristi Noem. So it's going to be a runoff between Toby Doden and Larry Roden, current governor, for this November election in South Dakota. And I think it'd be so cool. I totally support Toby Doden. He has my complete endorsement as a podcaster, as an author, as a former South Dakotan, a Grotonian. I don't know. I can't remember. Are we Grotonians or Grotonites? I don't know. It's embarrassing. I've been away from Groton so long, I don't even remember. I don't even know. He doesn't live in Groton anymore. He lives in Aberdeen. And my mom lives in Aberdeen, and I think they're Aberdonians. So, Aberdonian, Toby Doden, you go for it, buddy. You need me to give you a little video endorsement? Yeah, just let me know. I'll do it. In New Mexico, they had the big primary here, and I'll just tell you the results. They have, and I don't understand how it didn't work out here, that they're not requiring a runoff between the Republican candidate, because the Republican candidate did get 50% of the vote. It was like 47 to 37. So, but his name is Gregory Hull. He's former mayor of Rio Rancho, but his Gregory, the same as me, but he's got 3 G's in his name. It's Greggory, which they always say that third G stands for genius, but I would dispute that, because I don't have a third G. I just have 2 G's. And we all know that, genius is in our midst. Maybe I should edit that up. No, I'll leave it in. So anyway, and that's the Republican side, and the Democrat side, Sam Bregman, who I didn't even know was a Democrat until the last couple of years, he was running in the primary against Deb Haaland, and she was a former cabinet member for the Secretary of the Department of Interior under Joe Biden, and that should be automatic disqualification for anything else. But if you're in the Biden cabinet, oh my god! But she defeated Sam Bregman like 73-27 or something like that. Just unbelievable trouncing from Sam Bregman, because Sam Bregman was a moderate candidate. He's middle of the road. He's almost a Republican, but you can't be elected in a Democrat primary unless you are so out there in the fringes of in crazy land that you just can't get through the primary as a normal human being. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to it's going to be like a bellwether in my mind to see what direction New Mexico continues to go. Um, I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to predict an upset. I think that Greg Hull, from former Rio Rancho mayor, is going to win the governorship for New Mexico this fall in November, much to the chagrin of all the Democrats in New Mexico, and to the chagrin and surprise of the to the country that New Mexico isn't completely lost and following the same path as California. Um, it seems like California is completely lost to me. I Hollywood has pretty much moved out of there. I mean, Hollywood barely exists as far as the filmmaking goes anymore, TV. There's a lot of it here in New Mexico, but it's in Atlanta, Texas, and Montana. There's a lot of places where filmmaking is thriving, and California lost it. And I think, if New Mexico keeps following the footsteps of California with that liberal slant to it, New Mexico is going to follow that same path. And it's sad to me. Anyway, California, I mean, there's going to be, they have a weird system there in California. So it might turn out that the current top vote getter is actually a Republican, and the second place is a Democrat. But they have like an open primary. It's just the top two candidates, the top two vote getting candidates in their primary. They could both be Republican. They could both be Democrat. There could be one Republican, one Democrat. But the top two go face off in November. And right at this point, it could be some sort of a new direction for California, because I think the top vote getter right now, as it stands, I mean, they're still counting votes, but the top vote getter for California governor in the primary is a Republican at this point. So we'll see. Maybe California can recover. That would be awesome. I think that'd be an indication that this country can be saved and turned around. And that's a positive note. And I think instead of going on with the rest of my stuff, I got a few things that I wanted to talk about, but I think we're going to end it there. We're almost at an hour and a half, and that's a positive note that California may be saved. Maybe New Mexico will be saved. And maybe I'll know the governor of South Dakota. That'd be awesome. And I'm gonna leave it there. The positive note for the podcast, and sign off today on the Wednesday, June 3rd. Hey, June 3rd. I think it's AJ's birthday. AJ Heitmann, my nephew, my younger brother Garrett's son. So shout out to AJ. Happy birthday. And I was trying to get the twins to get you a win for your birthday, but guess what? They didn't. So sorry. I apologize for that. But happy birthday, AJ, and we'll sign off on just a positive, completely positive notes. Birthdays and governorships in the balance. So we leave you with this: the 3 B's. Be assertive, be positive, be proactive. There's 3. That's your commandment for a better life. Be assertive, be positive, be proactive. Those 3 things will lead you down the straight and narrow path. And we don't say goodbye. We say see you later. And also knock and the door will be open to you. Seek and you will find. Ask and you shall be given. So that's it. Not sure when the next chapter's coming, but it's going to be a good one. I've read it. It's being edited, and I can't wait to share it with you. It's called The Poetry. Coming soon. So we say, guess what? See you later. Good Wednesday evening, and can't wait to join you next time.